programs that you have going there. But this is a entirely different story that we're talking about today. It involves your brother.
You're right.
Who lives in the state of Michigan.
Yes.
And for many years worked at was it General Motors that
yes,
assembled
the General Motors plant.
They had the Corvairs, yeah.
Right.
He was on the Corvair assembly line.
Yes, he was.
And he always wanted to have one.
Exactly. 50 years wanted one of these.
Uh-huh.
And he worked on those cars for 3 years. He told me what years that was, if I can remember. It's 1967, 68, and 69.
How about that?
And he sealed the body joints, among other things. And he always wanted one. So recently, he joined the Corvair Club. Normally, you have a Corvair, I guess, and then you join the club. Yeah. But he did it in reverse order. And all these years that he wanted one, he was raising a family, couldn't afford one. And, you know, like people today, you put your money where you need to for your bills and your family.
Sure.
And then once the family was grown up and gone, then he developed health problems.
Oh, yeah. So he had been saving after he retired, figuring, I'm going to finally raise enough money that I can get my very own Corvair.
Exactly. And it didn't happen. So he joined this club, and he met some very interesting people, one of which, she's known as the Corvair lady. And my hat's off to her and the museum out there for all they've done. But Eva McGuire is her name. And she had met my brother when she was interviewing Corvair builders. And she talked to him.
Yeah.
And then he joined the club. And she's very interesting because I've read a few of her articles online where she was telling about how first shift would put a ding with a hammer in the body of the car somewhere so that they would know if the car, something happened to it, that it happened on first shift. And if you worked on second shift, you put 2 dings. Well, then somebody got smart and figured out it didn't matter because they could cheat. They could, you know, as people are.
Blame it on somebody else.
Exactly. Exactly. But I've read her articles, and she's a very fascinating person.
Yeah.
And I thank them for everything they've done. But anyways, this became to unravel on Friday, May 26th for me. I went home from work and read an email from my niece, his daughter, who told us, don't tell Daddy, but he's going to get surprised. And she gave us a website to go to. And it was a link to the Corvair forum where Eva had posted, everybody come to this event. We're going to surprise Merle. He's going to be so surprised he's getting a free Corvair. And I called my niece and I said, wait a minute. I said, nobody gives anybody a free car. What's going on? She says, no, it's totally legit. Totally legit. Yeah. And they really did surprise him. So much, in fact, Todd, they had to sit down. And they left him speechless, which you never leave my brother speechless. Never. Never. So, yeah, it was fascinating. She had taken a picture of him with her car. She had loaned him her car to join a convoy where they were celebrating an anniversary. She posted the picture of him and her with her blue car on Facebook, asking if anybody would like to donate a car. Guess what? It worked.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. To make a request like that just seems outrageous to us.
Yes.
But then we understand that there are people out there who see something like this, an opportunity to help someone or to step up and really make someone's dreams come true. We should mention your brother's name is Merle Shingler.
Correct.
And your family is originally from Seward.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, my parents owned a motel, gas station, and restaurant there. Built it from the ground up.
Yeah.
Many people out there may recognize the name. Maybe no one from Indiana County would. I don't know, but I think they probably would. And that's where Merle grew up. And small town boy gets a big car, and you know what? I would not be surprised, Eva. I hope you get to hear this interview. I would not be surprised to see him be Grand Marshal, driving a Corvair in a parade or sitting in a Corvair, and they give him keys to the city. I just would not be surprised. But I hope people in Indiana County are listening. Somebody out there who's a car buff, who maybe you know someone who you can make someone's dream come true.
Oh, yeah.
These kind of stories just don't happen every day.
No, they don't. And that's what makes it so special.
Wonderful, yes.
So Merle shows up at this event that
Yes.
he's thinking that he's going to, lead a tour group or
He's
something?
going to show them something in the museum.
Yeah, okay.
That's what she led him to believe.
Uh-huh.
And he got there, and there was news crews to cover it and the whole 9 yards. And they were outside, as I recall from the video I watched. She had a checkered flag, race flag.
Mm-hmm.
They had a big red bow on the car. And when it was time, she motioned to drive on in. And she said, "See that? That's yours." And he said, "No. No." And you could see the look of surprise.
Yeah.
But they totally floored him because he didn't even see it coming. Not the car, the surprise. Yes, it was just wonderful. And I'm sure he's still talking about it because we are.
Well, that's the thing. We're going to have the car cruise here in downtown Indiana here next week or the week after. I can't recall which. And people get to be, they're such a part of the family.
Right.
And your car becomes an extension of you. And the people who show up at the car shows all know each other. They're also proud of their babies.
Exactly.
And now here he is, a Corvair owner. And I bet you he goes to Corvair shows and other car shows.
I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
I am sure of that. If anybody's out in that vicinity, and I'm going to say this name, which I'll give you some trivia here. The town is Ypsilanti.
There, you got it.
And it was named, believe it or not, after a Greek war hero from 1825. Because I was reading, trying to pronounce it correctly, but the museum is on 100 East Cross Street. And it's called the Ypsilanti Automotive Heritage Museum.
Uh-huh.
I think you should stop by there if you're out that way because there's a lot of history.
Yeah.
Heck, there's a lot of history online.
It's not just Corvair.
No, it's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even one of the gentlemen from the museum, his name is John Tucker. I don't know if the name Tucker means anything to you, but do you know Preston Tucker?
Sure.
He's his grandson.
Oh, yeah.
And reading all this, it was just fascinating for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not really that big into a lot of history, but cars and the history and how things have transpired just are very intriguing to me.
I bet your brother wasn't on the Tucker assembly line. That didn't last too long.
No. From the torpedo went.
Yeah.
It took a nosedive.
I've told the story before on the air here about in the town I grew up in. There was a gentleman named Walter Warfel, whose grandson is here in Indiana.
Okay.
And Walter was a huge Corvair fan. He had always
really?
had white Corvairs with red interiors parked out in front of his house. He had 2 or 3 of them at all times.
Oh, my gosh.
Had to have his Corvair. But you get so attached to things like that, and you don't want to let them go, and why should you?
Yes, exactly. Even though Ralph Nader put a stop to them.
Oh, well.
You've heard that story.
Yeah, well, Ralph is Ralph.
Unsafe at any speed. My brother said they're driven by race car drivers. They're safe at every speed.
There you go. Well, Merle Shingler, congratulations all the way out there in Ypsilanti, Michigan. And Jan, thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much for letting me come in and talk about it. Appreciate it.
It's such a pleasure.